Hey everybody, Shawn here. I am starting a bunch of new series this year, and this is one that I was actually thinking about doing last year, but I did not have the ability to do it, nor the clientele or the people to do it with. So I'm doing a bunch of collabs with people that have YouTube channels and that don't have YouTube channels that just inspire me. I'm actually starting this off with a person that I met on Facebook. He is inspiring to be a comic book shop owner. I think it was in a post, and we started talking back and forth. There's a couple other videos actually about him because, I'm sending him some comics and we're doing reviews of how the packaging is done. I'm not taking any extra care on these packages. It's just the same packaging that I use for anyone. But with him, I'm able to shoot it to him. He's able to get it and then unpackage it just to see how the packaging is and to see how good I do. His username for YouTube is Ad Hominem. That's right here because I'm probably butchered that. But if I did, I'm sorry. And let's jump into the questions and see what he has to say, because I'm actually really interested in every question that I asked him. So the first question I had to ask him, since he's an aspiring comic book shop owner, who is your favorite superhero and why?
My favorite superhero is definitely Superman. Kind of cliche, but we like what we like. Kal-El, Man of Steel, Clark Kent, Superman. He's my favorite one. I even have a tattoo of the Superman glyph. Why is he my favorite superhero? Well, he's always been my favorite superhero since I was a child. To keep it short, Superman is an alien. He's raised as a human. He has these incredible powers that he can do anything with, and he's very selfless. He does everything that he can to help everyone else, and many times he's taken for granted. He isn't as respected as he should be. He isn't as loved as he should be. As much as he does for everyone else, he's almost kind of taken for granted. How does that relate to me? Well, I'm not an alien from another planet, but I don't exactly relate to most people. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't club. None of that is anything that I have an interest in. And for a lot of people, especially people my age, I'm kind of the odd man out. So I relate to him on that front. I have a lot of ideas for business, and money is power. So if I were to become successful, I would use my money to help people. Building charities, building hospitals, building schools, building shelters. That would be my way of using my power for good. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would discredit me. Now, you don't do good things for recognition, but it never hurts to have someone say thank you.
Next question, and this kind of goes for a lot of different people. What got you into comics?
I need to think about that one for a little bit. What got me into comics? I remember having comics as a kid, so they were kind of always around. I can't really say that there was this momentous thing in my life that brought me into comics. There was no significant moment. My father handed me some of his comic books, so that could have been it. I remember having some Archie from the decades ago. I remember having Superman from decades ago. I still have those issues too, by the way. I remember getting some comic books from that time, some Wolverine, some Batman, some Spider-Man, which I have that one too. It's funny, I don't remember exactly what got me into comics initially. It was kind of, I would say, being a kid, seeing the movies, and my dad used to have them, and he gave me his. So I guess that's what it comes down to.
So, you've been around comics a lot. You've seen some stuff. Do you think that comics help people more than just entertainment?
I most definitely believe that comic books offer something more than simply entertainment. I can only speak for myself, but when I'm going through some things or when I can feel that something is about to happen, whether it's depression or stress, comic books are one of those things that I can kind of go to. It's weird, I know that, because when there's a comic book, people would expect you to talk to someone about your problem. We all have our coping methods. And for me, having comic books is one of those things that I look forward to continue doing. Comic books help people because it gives us an escape. Some people listen to music. Some people go off for a long drive. I like comic books. And to see comic books come to the big screen, it gives me something to look forward to. Because guys from my childhood are now getting new movies and new adaptations. Yes, definitely. It's more than entertainment. It can be coping mechanism, it can be distraction from bad things, and it can be something that you look forward to.
Now this one, a lot of people could answer this a lot of different ways. But if you had just one comic you could get, what would that comic be?
Action Comics #1.
And, you've been in comic shops, because if you're wanting to own a comic shop, you've been into some. I think everybody's been into one at least once in their life. What do you think about them? What do you think about comic stores?
I love comic book stores. I'm looking to open up my own one day. I love how I can go somewhere and not be judged for liking comic books, or not be called a nerd or a geek, or have someone roll their eyes at me because I have an interest in comic books. Comic book stores are kind of like, you can say kind of like my own Narnia. I can go somewhere and I can be there for hours and not be judged and not have worry about people saying nasty things about me.
As a businessman, I'm always interested in this question. If you get your comic shop, which I hope that you do, if you do that, how are you going to help your customers?
If I had a comic book store, I would do everything in my power to make sure that not only did I provide professional service, but I would create a safe and friendly environment for anyone to enjoy themselves with comic books. I would cater to the young and the old, those that are new to comics and those that have been collecting for decades. I would try to make sure that everyone feels welcome. Whatever bias it is that you have towards race or religion, you can think whatever you want to think, but as soon as you enter my comic book store, all of that has to be put to the side. I would want, most importantly, everyone to feel safe, which is not the same thing as being PC. But in a business and something like comic books, which is so niche, you not only want to make people feel welcome as a business, but as a community, you want to enjoy the medium with one another. So if I had a comic book store, I would do everything to make sure that my stock was up to date. I had interesting back stock, and everyone felt safe and welcome, and over some digital, maybe some food, and maybe some clothing to give some more variety to the items.
When shopping for comics, what do you look for?
Let's see. What do I look for in a comic shop? What are the obvious things you want to have, what you're looking for? You want them to have good condition items. You want them to have up-to-date items. But personally, I don't like to be involved with any business or anyone that is too uppity. Whether you're a billionaire or you're royalty, you're still a human being. And you shouldn't look down on anyone, especially if you're in something that's kind of common, like comic books or sneakers. I've walked into many stores and you can feel that you're not wanted. So when I walk into a comic book store, being welcomed and being around people who are approachable is very important to me.
Now here's something just about comic books, a couple questions. What do you think's the most important aspect of a comic is?
This is a good one. It left me thinking. The most important aspect of a comic book, I would have to say, is creativity. That can mean creative writing, creative illustration, creative panel layouts, creative titles. As long as there's creativity and you believe in your product, I think that what you're making can go far. I think that creativity is the driving force to comic books.
Now, with all these great movies coming out and that have already been out for comic books, do you think that they follow the comic books?
No, I don't think that comic book movies are based entirely off of comic books, the reading material. I think that they take the main theme, maybe the main costume or the general ambiance of a comic book or a graphic novel, and they try to translate it. But I don't think that it's going to be a panel for panel copy, except for maybe the animated films or maybe The Watchmen. Those ones tend to be the closest to the source material, but wouldn't it be kind of boring if you knew what the next 10 scenes of a comic book are going to be anyway? So maybe it's kind of a good thing that they don't make every movie a panel for panel copy.
If there was like one movie that could be made that's not already being made or is being made, what movie would you want based off of a comic book?
Yeah, it's kind of a good question. I don't really know how to answer that. The main one would probably have been Batman vs. Superman, but we're getting that one. So maybe they can try redoing The Punisher, or they can do a new Spider-Man one, Spider-Man, The Punisher, and Shotgun, based off of that comic. I believe it's called the Spiderweb Saga. I could be wrong, but That's kind of a good question. Yeah, they should redo the Punisher, do World War Hulk, and maybe do a new Flash. Well, I meant to say Fantastic Four, but Flash would also be a good one. A Flashpoint Paradox would look incredible in live action. Yeah, I'm going right back to Batman for Superman. I think that's on many people's minds, and we're finally getting it. I would have to say that one would be the most anticipated one.
Well, that's it for this episode. What'd you guys think? Was the questions too vague, or I would have asked them. Well, go ahead and down in the comments below, ask questions. If you have any questions for me, ask them. If you want to be the next person that I interview, down here. I'm going to try to do everybody. I want to bring the world together in some way or another. I want everybody to show their unique views. And that's just how I am. I have some fitness people coming up. I have some recording people coming up just to talk about music or talk about fitness or talk about health. I try to gear the questions towards the person on how I know them. Now, I could have done a whole other segment here, but I chose to stick with the comic books because that's how initially we met, was talking about comic books. In the description below, there's going to be a link to his page. Go check that out. There's more than just comic books over there. Every single person that I interview, they'll be in the description below. Ways to get a hold of them. If you have any questions yourself for them, put those in the comments below. Let us know. Maybe we'll do more. Anyway, this is not the last time you're going to see me and him collabing. As long as everything works out good, there's actually a shipment process going between me and him where I'm going to ship him some comic books. He's going to open them up just to see how the comic books look after the mail. Because I know what they look like when I send them, but what do they look like when they get somewhere? Trust me, it was kind of a weird thing. The next one coming up, actually, it's kind of starring, I guess, him, is the fact that I sent him a comic book and it actually got sent back to me. So I did the packaging and now I'm going to do the unpackaging. So definitely subscribe to both of us. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.